Something else I think is really important to prep for is yourself before postpartum. I know for myself, like I set up like a nursing cart so that I could drag it around between rooms, even if it's a basket for yourself or even a box. Like I'm like, even if you just have a box and you throw things in it just to make it easy. And then also having a postpartum kit. I had one in each bathroom.
Welcome back. I'm Hav.
And I'm Aleea.
And I'm sure you heard the term nesting thrown around, especially when talking about the end stages of pregnancy. And for many of us, we may be thinking the perfect nursery, getting everything clean and organized, or even folding clothes. But it can be more than that, like what actually makes life easier once baby gets here. So today we're going to be tackling nesting and the things that we can do, things that we did, and the things that we can do to help get us through these experiences that we're facing, have faced, will face, all of the things. So, Aleea, I guess I can kind of go into, just in general, like the nesting stuff, because I feel like I'm
I was
doing that
just
right
gonna
now.
say, I think you're literally in the heart of it. So
Literally spent the whole day cleaning yesterday. So, cleaning, right? We just said it's not all cleaning, but I think that's a big part of it for a lot of us, especially if you've had a baby before and you're keeping things from before, or you have people who have gifted you things. I think a big part of nesting is like the wanting to like clean and sterilize things.
mhm.
Yeah. But I'm like, we have all of our bottles up in the attic and I'm like, I just want to get them down and sterilize them. But we're like months ahead of the game here.
You're like, I'm gonna have to re-sterilize these by the time he gets here.
Literally. Like I think list making is a big one for me for nesting because I'm like thinking of all the possible scenarios and all the things. I just cleaned our office and like where I'm gonna put what in the office, things like that. There's also like the hanging up clothes. How are you gonna organize clothes? Where are you gonna hang them? Which I guess goes into cleaning and like organizing. But for me, that's more so like I also need to know what clothes I need to get because we're using a lot of clothes we already have or have been gifted. So I'm like, I need to know. But then again, I don't know how big he's gonna be.
Right.
Oh.
Right. I think cleaning though is a good starting point only because it's like you said, it's the most generic, the first thing you think of. And that was definitely something I felt. Like I remember I was like, I want to clean, organize, and like like declutter. You just like want like to me, it's like spring cleaning on like crack. Like it's like
Yeah.
you just like have so much that you feel like you need to take care of. Yeah. And I think it's a good starting point just because to me, cleaning kind of also relates to like, I really felt like this need to have like everything perfect. So
Mhm.
like getting everything like decor ready and like you said, organizing the clothes by color or size
Mhm.
or whatever. And that is really helpful. And if that is something you need to do, like definitely. But I definitely think there was a lot of things I felt like I needed to do that I was like this now looking back, I'm like, wow, that was a real like there was other things I should have been doing instead.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you brought up the spring cleaning thing because it's not just about baby. Like I
Right.
clean the office. Granted, we are gonna keep some baby stuff in the office, but like my desk is beautiful. Am I working? Will I be working when he gets here? No, I won't. But it's perfectly ready for work. So I think that and like the laundry room and stuff like that, it's just like whatever's gonna make your life easier. But I will say, also just by like sheer force, there's things that I'm not doing that I did. Like with Azzy, none of our house was ready, but her nursery painted, like new doorknobs, all that stuff was done. The crib was set up. I I think she barely touched the crib, like all that stuff. But and with this baby, I'm like, okay, I need to like, where am I gonna put his clothes? Because they're gonna have the same room. So like that kind of thing has been important. But like we've talked about it. You're like, so are you gonna do anything to the nursery for him? And I'm like, "Well, sorry, little boy. Like you just get whatever the Bluey and the K-pop Demon Hunter pink and gray room is what you got. I don't know what to say."
I'm so glad that you brought up the nursery because that was like one thing I was dead set. Like I was like, I need the nursery done. And and he definitely didn't go into it probably for the first 3 months, other than like changing him things. And I will say, I do think having some things in the nursery setup was helpful. Knowing where his diapers are, knowing where his clothes are. But like, other than that, like, and I remember even my doctor, she was like, you don't need it done. Like, it's okay. And I was like, I needed to hear it because in my mind, I was like, no, I need to get it done.
Well, it's almost like a storage room for a while. Like, that's how we had a storage room, and then like one of her tummy mats was in there. And we would spend like I would spend time in there just because we put so much effort in it. I was like, we need to be in this room. But I just wanted to be in the living room for the most part.
Right. Right. And I will say to me, and this is kind of jumping ahead just a little bit, but like that right there was a reminder that I was like, I needed to let go of what didn't matter. Like I
Yeah.
felt like everything needed to be nested. Honestly, like I especially like towards where you are right now, I was like, it could have been work stuff, it could have been personal stuff. Like I'm like, I had 100 checklists. Some of them I'm like, I don't think I even looked at, but it was just like and it's like you have to just remind you're like, sometimes you have to just accept some things won't get done
Yeah.
or they will get done, but maybe not as perfectly as you want. Because now that I look back, I'm like, I actually accomplished a ton. It just felt
Yeah.
like nothing got done, you
For
know?
sure. Well, and I think that's helpful the second time around too, because don't get me wrong, I have my list. And we're also hosting the baby shower at our house. So that just adds like a whole nother level of chaos in my brain. But what I did this time is I set it out by like when I actually need it done. So that when I'm going through the list, I'm like, okay, like sterilizing bottles and doing that stuff can wait until at least May. Like, do I want to push it till my due date? Probably not. But like things that are more important right now are like decluttering the house so that I have places to put them. Maybe putting up his newborn clothes or finding like our room, we're gonna put a bedside sleeper. We need to like move stuff out of the room so that we have room for that. Does the bedside sleeper need to be up right now? Do I want it to be? Yeah. Is that crazy? Because I'm not even gonna be able to get out of bed because I'm huge and I can barely get out of bed anyway. Yeah. So we're gonna do that in May. But like that has really helped because I know a little bit more about like the first 2 weeks that he's home, like maybe the swing, right? The bottles, if I do bottles in the first 2 weeks, because nursing, but like there's like the crib. If we're gonna put the crib up, that honestly can wait a few weeks. Like dad'll be, and we're thankful dad gets the same amount of paternity leave that I do. So, which I actually love, but I'm laughing. I was just telling Aaliyah how South Carolina doesn't have any leave. So thankfully I do. Anyways, I digress. But so he'll be here and he'll be able to help with a lot of stuff. But there's other life stuff going on too. So just like preparing for like if our dog has to have another surgery, making sure the living room is decluttered, teaching this one is something I didn't think about, but kind of is nesting, teaching the dogs. We let our dogs on the couch. Whoa. They're no longer allowed on the couch for the past like 2 months. I've been trying to teach them not to go on the couch because baby brother will be up on the couch and I don't want him accidentally get pummeled by a big lab's paws. But yeah, and I think like but like other than cleaning and stuff, right? We want to organize, but there are a lot of really good other things that we can do that's nesting that I know I did a little bit of before. And now that I have a deep freezer I want to do more of, which one I'm just going to call it right now is meal prepping, which sounds crazy starting now, but doing freezer meals, especially if you are in a place where like if you can DoorDash and you have people to cook for you and you can do Instacart and all that stuff, which still, even if you can do Instacart, you're probably not going to want to cook when baby gets here. But having those crock pot meals that you can just throw in was so nice with Azzy. And we didn't have a deep freezer before. We have a deep freezer now. I'm doing the lasagnas. I plan on doing a lot.
And just to backtrack, when you said you still had the list, I think it's important to still have things. Like we still do have things to do. It's just if you are really overwhelmed, really look at your list and be like, is all of this important? Because I think, but like freezer meals, definitely a high priority for me. I spent when I'm maybe a little less pregnant than you. I had spent like 12 hours in the kitchen and it was horrible. But like I cooked so many things. I did a breakfast, lunch, and dinners. Like you said, lasagnas, mac and cheeses, breakfast burritos, a crock pot. I even like cooked ground beef in case I just wanted to unthaw it and use it. But I probably didn't cook after he was born for 3 months. And I was able to eat off of our freezer meals. And honestly, when I look back, I remember saying, I was like, this was the best of the I made just because I felt you don't feel bad for what you're eating. And that also
Yeah.
helped me feel better.
Well, it's easier to focus on the health and, like, the taste. I was gonna say, like, we tried a lot of new things for our freezer meals, which I don't necessarily suggest because there were some things that I was like, "I wouldn't eat this," like, no like, this was not my favorite thing. So, maybe try stuff out before you make it for yourself when you're, like, eating out of necessity, but it's easier to pay attention to the protein and the carbs and all the things that you need to, like, keep your body healthy now than when you're on, like, 3 hours of sleep as well, and it's also a really good thing because I know I have my family, they all wanna come over and help me organize and clean and declutter. I was actually just talking to my aunt about this yesterday, and I was like, "I appreciate the help, but, like, I like to do it. I like to be able to, like, move things around. If I don't like the way that is, remove them. Telling people what to do is a little bit harder for me, but can you make, like prep these meals for the freezer or like a freezer meal party. There's like the nesting parties people do. I would definitely do like a cooking party, like come over and do the breakfast burritos and the
I think they call those a sprinkle, right?
wow.
Just because my first baby shower was a little rough. So I'm like, maybe the thought of just some friends coming over, helping me cook, helping me clean a few things. I really like that idea. And I think it's really nice, a baby too, just
Mhm.
because I feel like you do have your hands quite full.
Yeah, don't get me started on the baby shower stuff. We're hosting that baby shower and I want to be done. I want to take it away. The amount of stuff that we have to like do and pay for. If you're not somebody who's dead set on having a baby shower,
Right. And yeah, I agree because I'm like, yes, I definitely agree, especially if you are thinking about other ways that people can support you. Like, I think doing things like Hav just mentioned, those are things that are actually really helpful, especially when you're deep and pregnant. Like I said, when I cooked after 12 hours, I was hurting and it would have
yeah,
been nice to have some help, And also, I
yeah.
could have asked someone, but I'm like Hav, I'm like, oh, I'm okay. I can do it all myself. And then I'm like, oh, I'm suffering.
Girl, my head hurt so bad last night after just doing The Office. And I will say on the freezer prep meals, just to add on to that, if you're somebody who loves cooking or like is genuinely like, I don't want to dice the onions, dice the peppers, like do stuff like that, like cube the tomato sauce so that you don't have to like think about that stuff. I think that is also really helpful. But there are a lot of blogs of mothers who have done all this. And I just went and I found somebody else's like recipes and I just did what they did or meals that I make, like, I'll make a meal and then I'll just like Aaliyah said, I'll, like, cook extra ground beef and put it to the side and just bag it up.
I think that is a great point because I definitely when and not just freezing meals. I remember going on Pinterest and making a list of the things I wanted to get done. So like I had like a tab of freezer meals I saved and things
Mm,
like that. And as I completed them, I actually moved them to another folder in my Pinterest that was just like done or like completed after or before baby or something just to like help me because sometimes it can feel overwhelming when you pin so many things or like save so many things. So that is a great tip just because yeah.
I mean, if you're a psycho like me, not actually psycho because we're super cool, you might have a Google Drive folder where you have sheets. I don't know.
Yeah.
I had a lot of, like, my aunts and stuff asking me for the recipes for the freezer meals, being like, "Oh, that was so easy," like and I literally was like, "Thanks for the help. Here's the recipe."
And it's funny because I never really prepped freezer meals until pregnancy, and I have done it now since because
Mhm.
it's honestly, it's not just for postpartum. It's if you are a
No.
busy mom, they're really helpful, especially if you are someone who's trying to save money and not buy food out, but you don't always want to
Mhm.
cook. So, a great point. I do want to add too, just because we're kind of on this like things to help you. Something else I think is really important to prep for is yourself before
Yeah.
postpartum. So like I know for myself, like I set up like a nursing cart so that I could drag it around between rooms, even if it's a basket for yourself
Mm.
or even a box. Like I'm like, even if you just have a box and you throw things in it just to make it easy. And then also having a postpartum kit. I had one in each bathroom
Yeah.
just because you want things to be easily accessible, especially if you tore or you had a C-section or honestly just because like birth's hard. So don't forget about yourself because I know for me, making things, even I know Hav mentioned in the last episode with the diapers, with the cold packs, I also made homemade ones before
Mhm.
giving birth. And so just those things like to help you because we think so much about the baby, we forget about ourselves, but it's like we're the ones that really are going through the ringer
Yeah.
on it.
No, I think that's a really good point. I didn't pre-make anything last time. I think you and Brie, I think made me like the witch hazel
Mhm.
pads when you
But
came
I
for
know
my
you
baby
had
shower.
mentioned the hospital gave you the diaper with the cold
Yeah,
pack.
yeah.
Okay,
So
okay.
I didn't pre-make anything, but when I got home, I realized how annoying it was to want well, how nice it would be to have those pre-made. So I had Tony go and just sit in the kitchen and pull apart like 10, 15 diapers and just do that. But like the diaper caddy or like the it was a diaper caddy. We had wipes and stuff on it, but I also had like snacks on it.
Right.
Stuff like that. I had a place in every room that I anticipated being in like with baby. So for me, it was really the nursery and the living room. I had like pillows set up for my healing process so that I wasn't in pain, like moving around. I would also add on to the freezer meals, especially if you plan on nursing, having those oat balls, those protein balls, the whatever you can eat to I love and I try really hard to save money. Jimmy Dean's croissant, sausage and egg. To this day, I will spend the money on it because it is such an easy way for me to make sure that I get breakfast and I have protein and I do stuff like that. So just think of those things that like I think of it as being like hungover. What can I eat no matter what when I'm hungover? When you're with baby and you're tired and you're exhausted and there's like nothing that sounds good, what can you just like get in your body? Also, I'm sure they're all the rage now on TikTok, the mom tails, especially like the mom mocktails after
Oh,
giving
yes,
birth,
yes,
or like the
yes.
coconut water with the mom tails, yeah, the mocktails, mom
No, I was
mocktails.
thinking like moms with tails, like actually, and
No,
I was like,
I don't know how that would help you in this situation, but if you know a way, if you but no, I've been doing that with Azzy because I'm not a super fan of Gatorade. I like Body Armor kind of. They're just really expensive. So I used to batch in big pitchers, whole like coconut water. Right now I just do like sparkling water and juice, but you can do cranberry juice, you can do pineapple juice, you can do like whatever juice you want with the coconut water. And then if you batch it so you don't have to like make it every time. Just stuff like that for ease and access, like a good water bottle that's not going to spill when you're on the couch with baby, things like that.
yeah, I think that is 100% because that's really, I think what it comes down to is you want to do things that'll make things simpler once they get
Yeah.
here. And like we said, it might not be any of these things because, your life might be different than ours, but that I agree. I think those things for sure, especially things that help you.
And if you're going back to work super early, like you don't want to get home and have to worry about what's being cooked or whatever or hydrating while you're at work. I feel for the moms who have to go into the office, like you're doing so much.
Yeah.
All of us are doing so much, but yeah.
Especially if you're choosing to pump in stuff. I'm like, you already like you're basically working 3 jobs because I do think pumping is a job in itself,
Mhm.
especially if you're like really consistent with it. I mean, because people just talk about the pumping, but I'm like, it's the washing the parts, it's the pouring it and freezing it and all the other steps. And then it's like a lot of people are still nursing on top of it. So yeah, it's a lot. But I think to just kind of like one thing I will say is just if you are like, I don't know where to start or what to do, I would say 3 things that I definitely wish I had focused on was deep cleaning the whole house. I definitely tried. I cleaned a lot, but like I feel like I certain areas towards the end I just neglected and then they became neglected longer and then which was fine, but to me in my mental state, would
Yeah.
worry about it and I'm like if I had just done it, I wouldn't have thought about it. Not like I said, that was just more of a personal preference. I also wish I kind of focused more on myself. I prep the carts and stuff, but like we've talked about before, I wish I did more breathing exercises, things like that. And then I also wish I just let go of what didn't matter. Like I felt like I was just so worried up till the end. And it's hard not to be, obviously, like there's a lot, but I just wish I had, like I've mentioned earlier, just kind of accepting that some things won't get done.
I mean, it's like the idea of giving yourself a really good base, right? Because I was so upset. I wanted the laundry done and I wanted the kitchen to be clean and I wanted to cook and I wanted to do all these things. And I remember feeling so guilty that the laundry room looked like a mess. And at least if it was like, at least for me, like you said, if it was clean under all the mess,
Mhm.
it would have been like, okay, like it's just cluttered, which is where I'm at. Like, I want there to be a place for everything so that also, like, my partner know I'm the organizer in the
Right.
relationship. so that I can be like, okay, there is a place for everything. The only mess that should like really be like taking over, and I'm gonna let it take over. I don't care. I already know I don't care. Like, I'm not letting this one bug me this time. Clothes are gonna be on the floor. There's gonna be toys around and stuff. But like when baby needs to get on the ground and do tummy time, I want Azzy to know where her toys go. I want dad to know where the cleaning supplies go. I want like all that kind of stuff to be done. And I also want to put another really big emphasis on the if you have more than one bathroom, the sanitary like take care of yourself stations have to if especially if you have the money to do it. I know it's hard to buy doubles of things sometimes, but the tucks in both rooms, the dermoplast in both rooms, stuff like that. You don't wanna have to move around if you don't have to, but if you do, maybe get, like, a little shower caddy, so
Yes,
it's
I was
easy.
just gonna say, if you have to, try and find like a mobile kit because,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
especially, like, you I know for me, I didn't even wanna bend down. I'm like, if you can, make it up high, like, make it
Yeah.
as accessible. Like, I think mine was right next to the toilet on, like, a cart thing, so I
Yeah,
love
mine was on the back of the toilet.
it's like, do what you have to do because you'll definitely want and then, like we said, the freezer meals because I do think they helped a lot.
Yeah, and then I will say something that we have but, like, I don't know how deep we need to go into it because it's, like, based on your relationship and stuff, but if you have a partner and you're in a relationship, doing a quick check-in. First, I feel like first baby is kinda hard to know what you're gonna need and what to expect, but if you can just talk about, like, reading cues, like, "Hey, if I look like this," or, like, if I'm sitting on the couch all day and I'm nursing, like, just bring me snacks, like, or, like, I don't wanna be asked things, like, just little things to help your partner know. Because as we know, especially from if you've been listening to our podcast, there are just things that they wanna help and they're just not quite they don't maybe don't I don't even wanna say don't get, but maybe they just don't get it. And I know for me, like, I started that really early with Tony, just being like, "Hey, this is what I didn't love." And I'm not saying that you did anything wrong because he took care of things, but, like, I would rather you let the grass get long and spend more time with me so that I'm in a better mental state than worry about the grass this weekend, or, like, little things like that, or, like, "Hey, instead of asking me how I'm doing, just, like, bring me a granola fill up my water. You see it's empty, fill it up. If I look tired and I'm laying on the couch and I got the baby on me and Azzy's in my face, take her outside." Like, little things like that, or how they can help prep the diaper, ice packs, or things like that, I think.
Well, and it's true because as we've said it before, they wanna help and sometimes we just go are always on the same page. Like, they think they're helping, but they're just not, and sometimes we have to remind them, like, "That isn't helping for us, even though it feels like it is."
Right.
Because they can't read our minds, even though we wish they could. That would
Yep.
be really nice. So, yeah, I love that because I do think that's important, especially because you don't wanna be fighting about it when you're both tired and overwhelmed.
Well, and we talk about, that's when we start to feel naggy, and that might be when we actually start to be bitchy, and we don't want to be, but it's also like there's only so much we can do, right? And I think one important one is sleep schedules. If you can, especially this is gonna look different for us, but for our first one, Tony had a good leave. So he took nights from like I think, like, I can't even remember. He would actually stay up to, like, 4 or 5 with her and just bring her to me to nurse so that I could get some sleep, but then he would sleep until, like, noon or 1 because I would already be up with her, and that worked with her. That's gonna look different now because we have 2 kids. So he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna do nights again. That works so well for you," and I had to, like, be like, "Love that. That was amazing. That was actually really beautiful. Toddler, please, dear God, do not leave me alone with 2 babies till 2." Like, maybe take, like, 9 to 12 and sleep in till, like, 9, assuming my baby as he slept till, like, 9 or 10, so that was a little different, but, like, you get the point. Like, maybe get up a little bit earlier and spend time with Azzy so that I can just, like, lay down with baby and not have to up and down, up and down. If you have 1 kid or more than 1 kid, you don't sit down for more than, like, 5 minutes. So I think those are good things to kind of try to assess beforehand. And that's part of it is a mental thing too. I think Aaliyah and I talked about just talking with our partners about how taking care of the laundry, taking care of the dishes, taking care of the yard is really important and it is good for our mental health. But sometimes, especially if you're like Aaliyah and I, and you live in a small town and you don't have a lot of other mental support, like maybe your friends are long distance, stuff like that. Sometimes we just need our partner to sit down with us and be in the shit with us. Even if you can't do anything, just sit there with me and let me roll my eyes at you, rub my feet. I don't know.
Right.
Just be there with me.
100%.
And I saw something the other day on Instagram that was like pretty much your first one's a lot scarier. Both babies affect you differently, and I think I'm feeling that a lot. Is the first one was really scary. Every milestone, every little thing was really terrifying for me, like, all that stuff. But then the second one, now I'm like, I don't just have my little baby with me. I have a toddler who I like. That relationship is gonna change. My relationship with my second one is gonna be different, but maybe I'll get to be a different parent, which also is like sad in some parts because, like, how different will I be? Will it be fair to Azzy? Will it be fair to Jariah? But I think maybe part of the nesting is doing, like we said, that mental just, like, woo-saw to know that, like, things might change, but that's okay. The laundry is gonna pile up. That's okay. You're gonna have somebody over and there's gonna be dishes in the sink. That's okay. You're gonna order out McDonald's and not eat healthy, and that's okay. And Azzy's not gonna she's gonna go from being one-on-one time 24/7 to having a little brother, and Jariah's probably never gonna know what it's like to have extended one-on-one time. But they'll hopefully love it regardless. Just hopefully I can mentally just woosah.
I agree. Sorry, I'm laughing because and you're like talking, he's like, ah!
When that's the joys of this age.
It is.
Sorry, everybody.
And I felt like his feelings are how some siblings feel.
Yeah, honestly. And that's something to think about too that I don't think we probably don't have a lot of time to go into, but preparing little one as he's like so obsessed with being a big sister and we've done a lot of prep, but maybe your little one isn't ready to be a little sibling. Maybe your little one is Dash's age and the world is just him. And now you're going to have to go from him being able to be all over you to having a little baby there with you. So, like,
Adjustment.
get the time in that you can, but just know it's going to be an adjustment and they will be okay. But maybe that's a part of nesting too, is like the slow changes to get them used to. I don't know how you get them used to it. They say don't make changes 3 months before, 3 months after. I don't think there's a perfect way to do any of this. Like,
And
do what
especially
you do.
because everyone experiences change differently. So it's like, yeah, we can follow a rule book, but your kiddo might be different. And yeah, like it's true. You don't know. And I think that is a good point. Maybe that'll be a topic we discuss this season is how to at least help adjust the siblings because
Yeah.
it might seem like I feel like everyone has different thoughts and opinions on it because there is no right or wrong reason to do it.
It's such a like take it with a grain of salt because as we've known with this year that I've had, especially with Azzy, like all the things that I've researched to help me do things hasn't been what's worked or what's actually happened. So,
That's what I
yes, we
mean.
definitely can. It's like this. We can give advice and we can talk about it, but I think the main point of it is like take what works, leave what doesn't. Perfection is honestly not an option.
Mm-mm.
So,
Mm-mm.
just do what you can to mentally. I think that's the biggest thing is as mothers, we're just so like we want everything to be perfect and no matter what we do mentally, we're just kind of fucked. Like, sorry, but do what we can to like ease that mental as much as possible.
100%. And I agree. I think to me, you literally just defined this podcast. We are not here to be perfect because we are not, and we know that. So it's like we are giving you our experiences, things that we think might help. Take what you want, leave what you don't, and the trial and error. Because to me, parenthood is trial and error. And it's something that really teaches you patience and learning to let go of things because you cannot control everything as a parent. And yeah.
No.
So I think that's a great kind of exiting point for
Yeah.
today on nesting.
Yes, stay on nesting in, like, life advice, I guess.
Mhm.
It was just one of those. No, but really, that's it for today's
Mhm.
episode. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. As usual, if this episode made you feel a little less alone, send it to a mom friend who might need it too. And if you haven't already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and leave a review. It helps more moms find the show. It also helps us know what you want more of
Mhm.
or less of. You
Mhm.
never know.
Mhm.
So until next week, where we'll be diving into preparing for postpartum recovery, as that is a big part of the journey in itself. So with that, remember to keep the kids alive, happy or unhappy, and your coffee hot or at least reheated once. Bye, everybody.
Bye.